Hi everyone, welcome to Reading with Reference. My name's Katherine. I'm a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and we are just about to finish up our first week of curbside pickup. It's been so great being able to get books back to you again and to see you after a long time of closure. So this week I have 4 more books for you, 4 novels that are currently in the building, which again, books have to be here at Haverford in order to request them for curbside pickup. So I've got 4 great choices for you this week. The first one is The Gifted School by Bruce Holsinger. I have a strong love-hate relationship with what I think of as rich people novels, books that are focused on the problems and the lives of the super privileged, and this book totally fits that bill. It's set in the fictional town of Crystal, Colorado, which is making plans to build and open a new charter school for gifted children. Of course, all the rich, ambitious parents in town think that their children are ultra special and ultra gifted and deserve a place in the very selective new school. The novel follows a few families in particular, the families of Rose, Samantha, Azra, and Lauren, who have been friends since their now preteens were babies, and each are now scheming to get their kids in while trying to keep their own lives under control, which is getting harder and harder. Secrets slowly start to get out from each of the women as well as their husbands and children, all of which will have consequences for their chances at the gifted school. If you like books like Leanne Moriarty's Big Little Lies, this is very much along those same lines. It keeps building the tension until you're almost hoping that all the secrets come out and explode. The characters are also kind of terrible people, and I'm not sure if I was rooting for them against them for the whole book. Either way, it's a fun soap opera-y read and definitely worth picking up. Next, I've got The Care and Feeding of Ravenously Hungry Girls by Anissa Gray. If you're looking for something to read after you've finished and loved An American Marriage by Tayari Jones, this is the book for you. It's the story of the Butler sisters, Althea, Viola, and Lillian. Althea, the oldest, has taken on the role of matriarch since the death of their mother, and her sisters seem to both need and resent her strong will and opinions. But then Althea and her husband Proctor are arrested and put in jail for a crime that shocks and betrays their small community, and their twin teenage daughters are left with no parents and no family. Viola and Lillian are then forced to take the girls in, although neither has any real idea of how to raise already troubled teenage girls whose lives have been upended this way. The story follows both sets of sisters as well as Althea's time in jail awaiting trial as everyone struggles to adjust to this new normal and figure out what comes next. It's a really interesting book. I really liked it, and it's something I think about even now, even though I read it, I think, over a year ago, so definitely check that out. Next, I have The Dearly Beloved by Kara Wall. I talked about this book at our annual Book Bites luncheon this past December, but I loved it enough to talk about it again, and it's currently in the building, which means it's available for curbside. It's a novel about 2 men, Charles and James, who are asked to be co-leaders of a failing historic church in Greenwich Village in the early 1960s. Both of them came to their ministry in kind of unusual ways. Charles decided not to follow in his Harvard history professor father's footsteps, and James, the son of an alcoholic father and very anxious mother in Mississippi, looked at it as one of his only stable options after seeing that it was the job his father-in-law had. The book isn't just about Charles and James, though. It's equally about their wives Lily and Nan and their lives and faith, or lack thereof, and the way that the 4 people come together. They're all very different people and have very different ideas about what their lives might look like. One of my favorite things about this book is that it's about religion and faith and family without being strident or preachy, but gracious and kind instead. There are so many more aspects of this novel and the characters' lives and journeys that I don't have time to go into today, but it's a really lovely book and maybe my favorite one that I read all of last year. And then finally, there is The 7 or 8 Deaths of Stella Fortuna by Juliet Grames. This is the story of Stella Fortuna, which means lucky star in Italian, who has had a life that is anything but lucky. She's born in the early 20th century in a tiny, barely accessible town in Italy. From the time she's born, she encounters strange, frightening, life-threatening incidents that continue as she grows up and comes to America with her parents and younger sister Tina. Stella is equally confusing to people in Italy and America. She's incredibly beautiful, but she's also very cold and aloof and swears that she will never marry or even fall in love. That's not an easy life for a woman in those times, especially when Stella's domineering and dangerous father, Antonio, demands that she find someone to take her off his hands. We follow Stella through her near deaths and her steadfast refusals to live any life but the one that she wants, with the backdrop of knowing from the narrator that Stella and Tina, once inseparable and now elderly, have not spoken in decades, and no one quite knows why. I was shocked that this was a debut novel because it's so excellently written and grabbed my attention immediately. This was one of those that looked intimidating because I think it's like 500 pages long, but I couldn't get enough of it. I really loved it. So those are some options for curbside pickup this week. I really liked all of them, and hopefully you will too. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.